get parking, put on a name badge, go shake hands, look in the eyes, press the flesh. To me, if an event's going to take 3-4 hours and I'm going to meet 5 to 10 new people, I could interface with 400 to 500 people during that same time frame from the comfort of my computer. So I'm a huge proponent for digital networking. My first company that I started was an internet marketing company. Grew that to about 400,000 in revenue. I was finding difficulty scaling past that because of the creativity involved in order to kind of come up with new innovative strategies to grow other people's businesses and product lines. And so in 2013, I said, hey, why don't I start another business where I'm still going to do digital marketing, but instead of making other people rich, I'm going to make me rich, right? And so started a search business, which is an executive search. So we go out and we find CFOs or CEOs or presidents and executive VPs and partner level attorneys and VP level financial advisors, and we poach those individuals and we bring them to our clients. And so the most valuable asset in my business is the company that's willing to pay me $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in order to go poach someone. And so, a wise man once told me, hey, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. And so the things that we're going to kind of touch on and talk about today are, making sure that you get your name out there and making sure that you're leveraging digital technology to actually engage and create brand strength and create an image that your prospective buyers want to engage with and they want to kind of call on you whenever they do have a definitive need. So not sure if I left anything out. So today we have about 25 employees, 6 million in revenue. Last year we did 35% EBITDA on 5.4 million, just to kind of give you guys some insight into how lucrative this business can be. We don't really have cost of goods sold. A lot of the money that we spend is really in labor and employing headhunters to go out and find people. And then one of the things that I've mentioned to Omar earlier is we pay a lot of money to have access to data, right? If somebody contracts me and says, hey, I need a partner level attorney in Phoenix that has 20 years of experience with intellectual property law, I would love to be able to go into a database, pull up a list of all 43 people, hand that to a recruiter, and then just have them go headhunt them. So that's what we do. Well, good. I'm going to share my screen right now. You have any questions right now, Patrick, or are you good to go? Just give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Excellent. So right now you should be looking at a Word document, the power of digital networking. One of the things that I'll kind of showcase is just my own personal LinkedIn profile, and I'll provide some commentary, on that before we get to everything, right? And so let me pull this up onto a different screen. I use 3 screens at the office. I'm a big believer in having information in front of me. That way I don't miss anything. So, kind of the first thing that I'll point out, right? Again, we're talking about the power of digital networking. It's one thing to publish content, and it's one thing to engage in content, but really the ultimate goal, guys, is to have somebody click on your profile to learn what it is that you do, right? We don't want to be thirsty. We don't want to be out there continually posting, I sell insurance. If you need insurance, buy from me. That's not what networking is about. Networking is about, hey, this is me. These are my interests. This is real life experiences and stories and things that I encounter on a daily basis. Oh, and by the way, you're going to develop a relationship with my persona, right? And then that way, if you know what it is that I do, whenever you're ready to buy, whether it's today, whether it's 6 months from now, whether it's 6 years from now, it's a matter of knowing that you're the person to call, right? And so, this is going to be, this stands out, right? In my name, I've got an actual goat. I'm endearingly known in the Houston community, and all the networking and in-person events that I go to for the Greater Houston Partnership and the Houston Business Journal and the National Business Development Association and all these groups that I'm a member of. When I walk in, they say, hey, it's the GOAT. It's 100% a gimmick, right? And for those of you who don't know, GOAT is an acronym for greatest of all time. People, I've developed videos and things of that nature. We all know Gary Vee. We all know the people that have very, very outlandish and in-your-face kind of internet personas. And guys, the purpose of that is you want to be remembered. Okay, you don't want to fall into the category of he looks like a banker, he smells like a banker, he acts like a banker. I don't remember his name. I think he was with BBVA. I don't know, right? So hire the GOAT to find your unicorn. I've got the GOAT here. Why work at Encore Search Partners? I'm actually leading with come work for me, right? It's one thing for me to sell a company, and that client could be a $50,000 client. But if I actually hire a high-level producer, that producer could generate $500,000 in revenue for me, right? And so I'm leading with my biggest moneymaker, high-level, aggressive, ambitious young talent that wants to come here and prove themselves in our corporate environment, okay? Encore Search Partners provides headhunting services specifically for industry-leading technical sales professionals, engineers, financial advisors, attorneys, CPAs, and C-level executives nationwide. Here's my contact information. I never shy away from that. 40,000 followers on LinkedIn. The reason why it's capped at that is you're only capped to 30,000 connections. And so once I got to 30,000, it was increasingly difficult to gain followers. And at the end of the day, I have a day job, right? If all I did was just focus on getting followers, maybe I'd have 100,000 like some other people. But I'm outlining it. What is it that we do, right? Engineers, manufacturing, technical advisors, attorneys, etc. And so kind of the first touching point that I'm going to focus on is establish focused credibility, okay? Whenever you are networking or whenever you are, introducing yourself, whether it's at the bar, at B&B Butchers, and you just strike up a conversation with the person next to you, or whether you're in a business presentation and you're explaining what you do, it's always wise to be an expert in something. What do you do? Oh, I sell insurance to commercial construction companies that do projects over $50 million, right? It's a heck of a lot better to be narrowly focused and to be the best in that business than to just say, I sell insurance, right? People want to do business with experts. And I've built a very, very successful business around creating experts in very specific verticals. Okay, I've got people that only recruit CPAs, only recruit CFPs, only recruit JDs, only recruit MBAs, only recruit XYZ, right? So the point is I can get early career talent that doesn't have a lot of intellectual capital as a business generalist, but if they're having the same conversation with 50 people every single week, it fast tracks their level of credibility and technical knowledge in a specific vertical, right? So I don't need to go out and pay a $150,000 person that was an attorney to recruit attorneys. I can get an early career person, give them a 60,000 base, give them some commission that'll get them to 100, maybe 150 total comp, because they're an expert in a specific vertical. Another thing that I want to highlight your extracurricular involvements. One of the things that I'll mention, and again, we're talking about networking. A lot of people, they don't want to publish their opinions about, their social responsibilities that they like to engage in, right? And I don't want to make this a political talk, but if you're a big proponent of the BLM movement, if you're a big proponent of the LGBTQ community, you need to publish that, because at the end of the day, it is very polarizing. But the people who want to do business with you, it's actually going to help move the needle in your favor, as opposed to the individuals that are just net neutral in a specific vertical. So are you going to eliminate 50% of your prospective buyers? Absolutely. However, you're going to increase the probability that the other 50% wants to do business with you, maybe by 3 or even 5x, because you're vocalizing your specific stance, and you're proud of it and you're not hiding from it. And so establish focused credibility and don't shy away from highlighting your extracurricular involvements, okay? Another thing from a networking standpoint digitally, keyword strength, right? I could easily put that I am a recruiter, right? But I want to also highlight all the different keywords to make sure that I pop up. If somebody says commercial banker recruiter Houston, I want to show up in the first page, right? And so I have a very keyword rich LinkedIn profile exactly for that reason. I'm not sure if you guys are fully aware, but the way that databases are queried, they assign a scoring system. There's an algorithm, right? And so if somebody goes to the internet and they type that, right, engineering recruiter Houston, the person who has their current title as engineering recruiter, that's going to get more points by the algorithm than me saying I'm CEO, right? So they're going to be forced higher in the actual search results. And so be aware, whenever you do establish that focused credibility, whenever you do become that expert, not a generalist, really leverage that keyword strength to make sure that you are optimized for digital networking, okay? Another thing, generate engaged followers. How do you do that? I'll tell you, I'll give you the secret sauce. I do it on Instagram, I do it on LinkedIn, and you'd be surprised at how your network is gonna blow up, guys. Everybody knows that when if Patrick comments on my post, then all of a sudden his followers see my content published to the top of their feed, right? I mean, that's no secret. We know that. And so what you want is you want to create a network of people that are commenters. Does that make sense? You want to create a network of people that are commenters. And so how can I do that? Well, I don't even know who this Angie Keller is. She's an executive VP for one of my competitors that recruits engineers. I can go to these 53 people right now, and I can comment on their replies and also send them a connection request, okay? So Natasha, I can't believe you worked there 20 years, right? So let me go, wow. Oops. Wow, that's incredible. Reply, Terry, I'm not a stranger. I just commented on his comment, right? So there's an element of familiarity there. There's probably a 99% chance that he's gonna accept my connection request. Now, better yet, guys, when he accepts my connection request, Terry O'Leary is a commenter. So when I publish content to LinkedIn and he sees it, it's in his DNA to leave comments, just like it is with Chris Mader, just like it is with Matt Colarusso and Ashley Anderson. And so the way that my network is going to compound, number one, I'm getting very, very high level individuals, right? VP, senior managers, VP. Maybe I can skip over individual contributors or people that are not in my network, right? Or the space that I want to work in. But if these people accept my invites, I publish content, they engage, then their network's going to see it. And then obviously it creates more opportunities for me to kind of mushroom out with the same exact process. Comment on comments, send connection requests, very high probability of an acceptance. When you publish content, serial commenters follow you. That's going to drive more engagement, right? So this wasn't scripted, but you know, hopefully that makes sense, right? If I'm looking at Mark Leary, 17 comments. He's a consultant that's here in Houston. If I comment on this and send Chris Light a connection request, high probability. We can already see that I've done this with Mark Leary, right? Mark Leary, first connection, Houston, Texas. Chris Light, first connection. Jake Eckert, first connection. Kim Proctor, first connection. Jason Lee. So the point is, when I even post my content, these folks who are serial commenters are going to comment on my stuff. It's going to create more organic brand strength and publish me to the top. Okay. All right. So generating engaged followers, comment on comments, like, follow, send connection requests, etc. people say, Jeremy, how do you have such a big following? Very, very simple. Simple, tactical engagement, right? Kind of the fourth component of optimizing LinkedIn, publish real life content, guys. There's really no magic or secret sauce. It really frustrates me when there's companies that want to do your LinkedIn for you and manage your LinkedIn for you and come up with stories and publish articles. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about a white paper on, XYZ company, right? I mean, if they did, they would follow that company and they would get that data. What you want your organic followers to develop a relationship with, it's not your company. It's not the service that you provide or the problem that you solve in their market. They want to develop a relationship with you. Okay? They want to develop a relationship with you. They want to know what's happening with you. Tell me about your wins. Tell me about your losses. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your coworkers. Tell me about you. And remember, guys, remember the quote, people will develop a relationship with your persona, and when they're ready to buy, they will absolutely know who to call. This is how you do digital networking. It's the exact same way on Instagram. It's the exact same way on other social media platforms. Okay, I'm going to give you guys some insight into maybe 6 posts that I've recently done. One example, hey, give props. Remember, it's not always about you. In this specific scenario, we're giving props. Banker's hours have a whole new meaning over the past 3 weeks. Last night, I received a phone call from a good friend of mine, the SBA man, David Velez. I'm not his client, but he called to check in on me. We made casual conversation. He said, man, I've been working 18-hour days for the past 9 days straight. When I asked him how much commission he was going to make closing all of these PPP loans, he said, we're not making any money at all. I'm processing these loans until 2 a.m. because every night, every single one of these applications is going to give a small business money to help keep people's jobs. And that's what I'm about, keeping families employed and keeping the American economy going. This was a real conversation, guys, with a buddy of mine who's a commercial lender. I published that, 1,200 likes, 64 comments, probably got 150 new follow requests because of that post alone, because I got 104,000 views, right? This is not about what Jeremy does or what Encore Search does, but I'll be pretty confident that tons and tons of people clicked on my profile to say, what does this guy do, right? So that's the first example. Give props. Second example, this was a couple weeks ago. My son's birthday was on August the 18th. Yesterday was my oldest son, Caleb's 8th birthday. After dinner with the kids, I took him to Target and told him he could pick out 3 toys as his birthday gift. He picked out a Fortnite action figure, a box set of Pokemon cards, a Spider-Man figurine, all great choices. But what happened next is what made my heart melt. He walked straight up to his 5-year-old brother, handed him the Pokemon cards. Then he turned to his 4-year-old brother, handed him the Spider-Man. They both lit up and thanked him for the gifts. It's not every day that a grown man cries, but my 8-year-old made me cry last night. I'm proud of the man that he's become. 6,000 likes, 500 comments, real story. Didn't tell anybody what Encore Search does. Didn't tell anybody about the service that I provide or the problem that I solve. But guess what? The people develop a relationship with your persona. They click on what you do. You're real, you're vulnerable, you're human. And guess what? If they want to talk about all the wins and see all the wins, I publish that on my LinkedIn profile. You can go visit it and read all about it. Every week, I get anywhere from 4 to 8 new inbound requests from prospective clients that say, Jeremy, I follow you on LinkedIn, love your content. By the way, do you recruit VPs of accounting? Do you recruit directors of engineering? My company needs help. Would love to know if you have time to come speak with us, okay? I don't even employ a business development person, and we're the largest executive search firm in Houston, okay? Vulnerable stories. We've talked about give props. We talked about family. Now we're being vulnerable. 2015, I almost threw in the towel. I just started my recruiting firm 2 years prior and built up a nice little 6-person business that I was training to do about $1 million a year. Then it crashed. Oil plummeted from 108 to 48. The entire city of Houston went on hold. At the time, all I had were local clients, right? Oil and gas, manufacturing for oil and gas. Not a well-diversified strategy. Revenue went from 100,000 a month to zero. Big fat goose egg. 2 young kids and another on the way. I was faced with one of 3 decisions: shut it down, wait it out, or double down. I'd modeled out all of the scenarios and even went so far as to interview for an enterprise AE role. Needless to say, I turned down that offer. We rebranded, diversified nationwide, ramped up hiring. I took a loss that year, but I absolutely invested in the future. I'm saying all this because yesterday we received the news that we had been recognized by the Houston Business Journal as the largest executive search firm in Houston, ranked by the number of VP and C-level placements fulfilled in 2019. Never give up on yourself. Going from 0 to number 1 could be less than 5 years away. 1,500 likes, 300 comments, okay? I thought I'd get more on that, but hey, that was a W for me, okay? Share videos. Once you become an established, known brand and commodity in a specific vertical, don't ever shy away from putting your face on camera. I don't even have a great face, but people want to develop a relationship with that persona. So when people ask me to do podcasts, I do them.
Ryan Gendron and Shravana Rock.
3 people, I think, since the. I can go.
Yeah. And then really just, you know, with success, you kind of get a little bit pickier, right?
Oh.
And so like each year we started to work on higher level positions.
So the point is, guys, is let other people publish your content. Let other people market your content. That's the next level whenever you say, okay, I'm a true digital networker, right? Another thing, polarizing stories. Don't ever shy away from publishing polarizing stories. Remember what I said, the people who you want to do business will be the ones that migrate towards you because of your polarizing stance. The people who say, F you, you're not a good business person, I guarantee you that's the person that was never going to give you any business to begin with. It's perfectly fine, okay? Let's read this one. I had a 3-minute phone interview yesterday with a potential candidate for a $100K technical sales role. He had 4 years of experience, all at the same company. The interview seemed very promising at first glance. After the initial small talk, I led with what I always lead with. So, why are you looking to make a change? I want to make more money, work less hours, and have less stress. You know, the American dream. Whoa. I'm not quite sure that that's what our client is offering, man. I don't think you're going to be a good fit. We mutually agreed, and the call was ended. When I was growing up, the American dream involved hard work, focus, determination, ingenuity, and grit. I would get out of life what I put into it. Nothing more and nothing less. Has the American dream changed, guys? This got over 1,200 comments, okay? You talk about networking. You talk about people wanting to engage with you and people learning who you are and what's your story and connecting with you. And you'd better believe that I read every single one of these. I comment on comments and I provide insight and I read people's commentary. And obviously I'm not going to agree with every single thing, but I'm going to share exactly what it is that my opinion is. You know, Angela Jacobson, this is just, it's not scripted, right? But I'm looking at it. I placed her as the director of marketing at Steve & Joseph 2.5, 3 years ago. She's now one of my very best friends in the world. She lives in Lubbock, Texas. I've never met her. Never met her in person. I pulled her from GameStop because they had just filed bankruptcy, moved her to Lubbock where she'd went to college. Her husband works from home. She uprooted her 2 kids. Guess what? I follow her on Facebook. I follow her on Instagram. When Angela Jacobson makes a post, I like it. I comment on it. It's a full integrated marketing approach. She's a senior director at her company reporting to the CEO. When she has a need, she calls me. Not because I'm an expert in consumer products that they sell inside of boutiques for young women's fashion. It's because she knows Jeremy. She knows my kids. She knows I just bought a new car last week. She sees it on Instagram. She talks to me about very vulnerable and honest things. And guess what? I make $100,000 a year off her account alone because of the relationship I have with her. Never met her, okay? Katie Minert. Katie Minert was just recognized by the Houston Business Journal as Woman of the Year finalist. Women who mean business. She's getting honored on October 14th. Okay, I know this. I sent her a text message. I sent her a personal message. Katie, I'm proud of you. Great job. You've grinded so much. I love it. Congratulations. These are the people that comment on the posts. These are the people that build and encourage me and truly have a vested interest in providing commentary to my content. Guess what? I've never met Katie Minard in person. One day when I meet her at a networking event, she's going to give me a hug. She's going to say, I love you. You're one of my best friends, Katie Minard. Jason Burchell, had lunch with him a couple of weeks ago, owns a competing firm. When COVID happened, Jeremy, I'm scared. Do I shut the doors? Help me through this, buddy. These are all my friends that I met on LinkedIn. Okay. And then, guys, every now and then, you'll break the internet. This is my highest viewed post that I've ever made in my entire career on LinkedIn. Let's take a look at it. I had a client tell me this week, okay, I love you, bye. Then he hung up the phone. Force of habit, I'm sure. I sat there replaying it in my head, just trying to make sure I heard what I thought that I heard. Then I did what any self-respecting professional service provider would do. I texted him, I love you too. 1.2 million views, 10,000 likes, almost 1,000 comments, right? Probably 1,000, 2,000 follow requests from people, okay? Guys, when you talk about digital networking and the value that it creates, it's about not who you know, but who knows you, okay? And so you want to create a brand that people want to engage with. You want to be honest. You want to be vulnerable. You want to make people feel valued. You don't want to be thirsty. You don't want to ask for business. You want people to come to you when they need your services, and then they're almost turning to you like, hey, I know you're busy. I know you're successful. Can you please help me out? I know Jeremy Jenson, the GOAT. Please let me know if you're too busy or if you can help us out, right? And so that's kind of my pitch, developing genuine relationships virtually. It is an integrated marketing approach. I do connect with them on all channels. How do you stand out? Be consistent. Don't just scroll. You have to engage. And that's kind of my 2 cents. I'll open it up to you, Patrick, and see if you guys have any specific questions or if you want me to drill down into anything a little bit more narrow or focused.
Well, I really appreciate, Jeremy. I think that was an amazing thing. And now just a couple of sentences before I open it up. I think one of the approach that you make is one of the things that a lot of people, I think when they look at what you're doing, Jeremy, I think people like at first glance they say, oh, he's not genuine. He's just trying to, he's just trying to post his brand. But when you get to, I've gotten to know you just briefly, and I've also, kind of seen what you've done, and you can see that the genuine heart there, that you really are interested and you have genuine relationships in your life, right? And in everything you're doing, you're connecting with people, and you're making those connections in a way that's, loving and kind, and you're reaching out to people in a way that's healthy. And I think that's a lot of the time that I think people look at business people, look at networkers, look at people who are going out there and being successful. They can't, I guess they don't understand that you can do that in a genuine, positive way that's healthy and helping people. And I think that's something that's very remarkable that you're doing. And I really, my hat's off to you.
Well, thank you very much. I also have another rule of thumb that I mandate throughout the organization is if someone sends you a message, you always reply, okay? Hey, I don't have the expertise, or hey, that's not what we do, or hey, I'm too busy. Those are all perfectly acceptable replies. You can't help everybody. You can't save the whales. If you're in the business of recruiting attorneys, hey, if your brother-in-law was laid off and he's an engineer, hey, I can empathize. You should probably call this firm, but it's not what we do, right? Stay in your lane. Don't get bogged down. But absolutely, you want to empathize and you want to be genuine, and you absolutely want to engage that person, because people will remember if you're the recruiter that ghosted them, if you're the person that that they turn to because, you know, you sold insurance or you sold valves or whatever, and you ignored it because you thought that they were an unqualified buyer. Always, always, always close the loop. Never be afraid to do that.
Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Omar had a couple questions. Omar, you were texting a little bit earlier. Do you want to share some questions?
Yes, sir. Jeremy, I have one quick question for you. What's your opinion regarding the addictive UI and UX design that all social media platforms utilize?
Did you say addictive?
Yes.
I mean, I'm guilty, dude. I'm addicted to it. I mean, when you look at my screen time on my iPhone,
Oh boy.
it's unbelievable, man. But you know, I will say this is completely unrelated. I'm divorced. I've been divorced for 2 years, and the big reason is because I was always on this thing right here at night. And with 3 young kids, it doesn't really bode well for your spouse. And so while I might be the best digital network in Houston, Texas, it caused a wedge in my personal relationship. And so when you ask me what's my opinion on it, we need to be self-aware. We need to know if it's becoming an increasing problem, and we need to pick our battles, right? I mean, do I want to battle with not being a present father, or do I want to battle with not experiencing revenue growth, right? It's very difficult to be excellent and amazing at everything. Last week, I spent 20 hours and 40 minutes on Instagram.
Wow. Just Instagram?
Just Instagram. Facebook, 40 minutes. Facebook is for old people, dude. I'm 36.
It is.
I'm dating 26-year-olds, man. It's so easy when you're divorced and you have money.
How do you specifically deal with a dopamine imbalance that it causes?
I don't know. So to answer that question, I'm gonna preface it by saying I have intentionally not watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix for that reason, because I don't want to know. I don't want to, you know.
I hadn't known the information presented in that documentary prior. And watching, I couldn't watch all of it. Watching half of it just made me angry. I turned it off.
Yeah. And so what I can say is guys, if we know that as a society and you know, starving for that affirmation and the likes and the comments and the engagement, if we know that that's something that's critical to our own true happiness and the way that we explore happiness, and granted, I do get a lot of personal satisfaction from that. And in therapy, you know, I've kind of derived it from the fact that my mother didn't tell me she was proud of me enough whenever I was a child. I was raised by a single mom. But the point that I'm going to make is if you know that you're going to be in front of a computer screen and you're going to be on social media all day, you might as well be doing it on a platform where it makes you fucking money. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of the balance that I have found in it is I know it's addictive. I absolutely know that it creates dopamine and false senses of security, but at the end of the day, it absolutely translates to revenue for myself.
It's worth it.
Some would say that it's not worth it, right? I mean, I'm overweight. I'm not unhealthy, but I'm overweight. I could easily be spending that time in the CrossFit gym, right? Or with a personal trainer. And so you absolutely have to pick your battles. Whenever you say, golly, Jeremy, you comment on every comment, you engage with everybody that sends you a message, you have to pick your battles.
Have you considered dopamine, what's the word?
Supplements?
Supplements would be detrimental. Detox. That's the terminology I was looking for. So you would leave your phone, the social media away, or put it all away for a day. Therefore, it can help balance your dopamine levels so you don't experience these detrimental habits.
I've not explored that.
Something to consider.
Any more questions?
I'll point out one thing, and I'll share with you. I think Jeremy hits on a point that a lot of entrepreneurs go through is, well, most of the entrepreneurs, and I was in EO and an adjunct in YPO, is one of the things a lot of entrepreneurs battle with is addiction. We have highly addictive personalities. It's one of the things that makes us good, but also one of the things that drives us to do a lot of different things. And in my life, I usually swap one addiction for the next one. And so like I got into, I was very workaholic. And then when that wasn't working for me, and I ran into the same situation that you were talking about, Jeremy, with my own personal life, I got into sports. And so I put 40, 50 hours doing Ironmans all the time. And then that was just, it was just another addiction, so you just run from one to the next. So just understand, it's one of the things that when you're talking about, it's one of the things that also drives entrepreneurs. It's one of the things that we have to be cognizant. And I think that it also leads us to the self-awareness, is when we go through this, we see it in ourselves and we start understanding that maybe it's not the best thing for us either. And then we have to kind of find a way, with that part of our lives. So I just really appreciate you sharing that, Jeremy. It's very powerful and very honest. And thank you.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Being in EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, I've created some very, very valuable friendships. My closest friends in the entire world I've created through that organization. And, we're all in the trenches together, in different trenches, but we understand the challenges and hurdles that we experience in not only our professional, but our personal life as well. And I think one of the biggest, contributors to success is being self-aware, being vulnerable, saying, hey, I messed up. I'm going to fix it and it won't happen again. It takes a lot of humility to be successful. If you think that you're always the smartest guy in the room and the person that has all the answers, I think it's going to absolutely inhibit your success in business. Myself in particular, I built the company to about $1.5 million in revenue, and it was a great lifestyle business. I was making $500,000 a year, but I was arrogant. I was a perfectionist. I was a hothead. I was just burning through employees every 6 to 8 months. And I'd get mad at them and I'd fire them. And it wasn't until I brought in a true integrator. I don't know if you're familiar with EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, but this guy brought in processes, systems, accountability. I hired him as my VP, then he was promoted to COO, and now he's the president of my company. It wasn't until I realized that I didn't need to be the boss. I didn't need to be the smartest guy in the room, to where I got out of my own way and we actually started to blow up. Then I could focus on what I did well, which was marketing and sales and lead generation and conversion and creativity and diversifying into new areas of practice. And so I'm able to leverage that entrepreneurial brain, right? To like, okay, I've got this idea. Let me try it. 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 And guess what, guys? We're all smart. It'll work 85% of the time. What we need to continue doing is just roll with the punches. Whenever it fails, we dust it off our shoulder and we go to the next one. We keep grinding and we keep going. And it's very difficult for a spouse. I was married to a petroleum engineer who was very, very risk averse. It was very difficult for her to conceptualize me taking a gamble on starting a business unit and losing $100,000. It was the foundation of quite a few fights, right? But you know what it was for me? It was just calculated risk. The one that I took before it made me $500,000, And so that's a very long-winded way of saying, surround yourself with people that are also fellow entrepreneurs that can not only provide, insight to help you succeed, but that can also pull you out of the gutter whenever you're down.
It's very true.
Let's hear from some other people.
Yeah, let's see. Any other questions?
Omar's the star student, it sounds like.
Dara, Louisa, anyone else? Any other questions? I don't want Omar to. Miriam? Louisa was going to say something, but.
Well, I mean, it's not that I really have a question, but I mean, I'm, starting, I guess, since 2017 formally, a fashion business. So even though it's the different industry, the one you're at and you're sharing, but I can understand the hustling that you had to go through, especially when you share the story of how you were at one point almost going to throw the towel. I can definitely relate to all the hustle that you had to go through. And I don't understand how someone would have so much time, because I'm looking at your how to make people feel valued, and you put LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. I only have one child and this business, and I'm only on maybe like FaceTime, Instagram, and very little LinkedIn. I barely have time for anything else. So I don't know how you manage to do all that.
I mean, I don't have a TikTok or a Snapchat or a Twitter. I just wanted to highlight that you can absolutely take an integrated approach. So I spend most of my time between LinkedIn and Instagram. And my Instagram is very, very professional, but it also highlights my personality and all the wins and successes, right? So my business is very different than, let's say, the fashion business, in a sense that I get paid 100% commission. I get paid on performance, just like a realtor does, right? So if I was selling a $2 million house and I was looking for a realtor, would you want your realtor to pull up in a Toyota Camry that was like a 1997? Or do you want her to drive a brand new Mercedes and have the perception that she's at the top of her field and makes $1 million a year, right? So my Instagram is very extra because people need to know that we're the best and we close deals.
And so you don't hire a social media person to handle all your social media. You're the only one that does all your social media?
I'm the only one that does everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Insane.
But like Omar highlighted earlier, I'm very, very addicted to the likes. I'm addicted to the dopamine. And I'm not saying that it's right. What we know is I channeled that addiction I channeled it into something that makes me a lot of money, right? There's other people that channel addiction into becoming addicted to drugs or alcohol or other things. I don't do drugs. I don't drink alcohol in excess, right? And so individuals that have very addictive personalities, like Patrick said, you have to channel it into something. And so in his specific situation, he channeled it into be a very successful entrepreneur. And then when he got burnt out on that, he became an Ironman. Maybe that's the next phase in my life at 36 years old and 260 pounds, because I need to become an Ironman by the time I'm 40. It's doable, right?
Do you have any other goals besides your business that you want to share with us? Anything like that, like the one you just mentioned that you just came up with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have any specific goals tied to fitness, and it's really unfortunate. My goal is to find my best friend, a spouse that's going to help motivate and inspire me to reach my full potential. What I do visualize is that she has a passion for fitness, and that in some way, shape, or form, she's going to be the one that inspires me and holds me accountable to reach my fitness goals. But at the end of the day, my goal is focused on finding her and creating a true, lasting, monogamous, exclusive relationship with that person. So that's my near-term goal right now. I haven't experienced all the success that I want in business, but because of EOS and because of me putting the right VPs in place, I think that we have the infrastructure and we have the right system and process to realize our professional goals, to where I don't put any focus at all into how I'm going to grow my business or how I'm going to close deals, because I pay people a lot of money to do that for me.
My last question, does your company give back, and in what shape or form?
Well, I paid Uncle Sam over $600,000 in 2019. So that's the way that I personally give back. But but no. So my president of my company is very, very involved in several nonprofits. We do have a committee that does charitable contributions. For whatever reason, I've never been very, very passionate about being participatory in those. I believe that I had the same public school education as everybody else. I believe that I was raised by a single mom that made less than $30,000 a year. I lived in apartment complexes in very, very poor neighborhoods. So I'm a big believer in giving people opportunities that have never had. They still have all the ambition, they have all the intelligence, but they've never been given the opportunity to succeed because they didn't have the right degree or they didn't have whatever. So that's the way that I give back, is by investing in individuals that want to work on incentive compensation, and they want to work hard and want to make a lot of money. And so this may be surprising for you guys, but I don't have a bachelor's degree. I dropped out of school when I was 21 years old. My GPA was 3.6. I was at U of H pursuing a degree in mathematics. And I was working for a reseller for a company that sold DirecTV and Dish Network. And I was 21 years old, working 36 hours a week, fielding inbound phone calls right in the afternoons and at night from people that got those flyers in their mail. 1999 Dish Network. I made $108,000 as a junior in college. And I dropped out and I said, I'm going to go into sales. And I went back for one semester when I met my now ex-wife because she was summa cum laude, Georgia Tech, chemical engineer, dual major, chemical and biomedical engineer, never made a B in her life, 4.0 GPA her entire life. I was very insecure about that. And I went back to college to pursue a degree in petroleum engineering at U of H. And I was staring at the presentation and it all seemed like Greek to me. I was like 25 years old, and so I didn't finish. But I was so insecure about it for so long. And it really wasn't until I started making maybe like $600,000, $800,000 to where I finally became proud of the fact that I didn't have a degree. I used to actually conceal it whenever people would ask. I was very embarrassed.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So now the way I give back is when you look at my team, I would say that probably 90% of our team makes six figures. Again, it's on variable compensation, commission, plus their base. I'd probably say that of those people, maybe only 20% have undergraduate degrees.
Well, I think at that point we're going to come to a close a little bit. And Jeremy was very thoughtful. And by the way, Jeremy, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's very beautiful and very very genuine. I think we went into a path there. I don't think we were going in, and I think it came out on the other side a really beautiful place. So thank you very much, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for bringing great questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Jeremy's got a unique opportunity. Is it okay to mention this, Jeremy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've mentioned it to Patrick before the call. I said, hey, I want to maybe invite the person who's the most engaged and ask the most questions to come out to my office. I want to give them insight into, the workstations, meet a couple of our producers. I want to walk them through our P&L. I want to give them insight into our CRM and the KPIs that we measure. So if Omar's down, I'd love to have him out to the office maybe for about 45 minutes, and we can do that.
Okay. I sent you a connection on LinkedIn.
Excellent.
I will send you a private message with my phone number, and we can schedule a time.
Excellent. Sounds good, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Can I invite myself too? Can I tag along?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a true entrepreneur, huh? You say, give me one and two sign up, right?
Only if she brings, here's where, if I didn't mention it, I'd be mad at her if she didn't.
Yeah.
Bring your products so you can sell them to my employees.
There you go.
What are your products, Louisa?
All right. You have girls in your office?
It's 80% women, of course. They're more coachable and they have better attention to detail.
Okay. Okay. So at that, Louisa, share your information as well. And at that, we'll come into the end. Well, it looks like we created some great opportunities here. And once again, Jeremy, we couldn't have done it without you. I mean, really just a very amazing on multiple fronts, great presentation. And thank you so much for making the time tonight to share with these younger, these younger entrepreneurs who are just coming up. And one last thing I have to say is thank you so much to the young entrepreneurs who are bold, just starting out. The world is going to, we need you. Without entrepreneurs, there's nothing going to happen. And you are absolutely our future. And thanks for everyone who showed up tonight. We really owe it to you. So thank you very much to everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.